What is neutral in Tekken? Well, you're looking at it right now. Let me explain. Neutral is the stage of a fight where neither player is blocking or getting hit by anything. And you are trying to figure out the best way to start or continue your game plan. Sounds simple, right? Well, no, because there are many techniques in Tekken that help you win the neutral, and I'm here to break all of them down simply so you can understand how to actually play Tekken. Welcome to a new series called Tekken 8's Neutral 101. In today's episode, I will teach you spacing and ranges. And if you find today's video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe and comment if you have any pro tips on neutral so we can help each other out in the comments. And while you're at it, join the Yamato's dojo to go from being a masher to a pro player.
What is space and range?
Space is a boundless three-dimensional extent in which objects and events occur and have relative position. What the f? I mean space in Tekken. Space is the distance between you and your opponent. You can create space by backdashing from your opponent, or you can destroy space by dashing into your opponent. And don't forget that Tekken is a 3D game, so you can also create space by sidestepping and sidewalking. Think of it as sidestepping or walking into a space. Now, isn't range the same thing as space? Well, not exactly, because range is where you stand on the screen. There are 3 ranges in Tekken. The first one is close range, where jabs and pokes will usually reach. The second one is mid-range, where ranged moves will usually reach. And the last one is long range, where while running moves will usually reach. So space is the distance between you and your opponent, and range is where your character stands on the screen. So think of space and range like brother and sister.
Like you in the dude's gonna like you. One now.
Please stop.
I can't let you get close.
Can you hear
Why space and range?
If you and your opponent are both in your face, just mashing for your life 24/7, you guys aren't actually playing Tekken.
Cap.
Because Tekken is a very heavy movement game. If you decide to backdash away from your mashing opponent, you are able to create space. Once you create space, your mashing opponent is likely to hit nothing but air, and we call this a whiff in fighting games. Now, when your opponent is whiffing buttons because you created space, you are able to punish them, and we call this technique whiff punishing. Now you're playing some good Tekken.
Nice.
So then, why should I worry about range?
Always being aware of what range you are in can help you decide what's the best action to do. Example number 1. If you are close range, you can expect your opponent to poke you with fast moves like a jab, a fast mid, and a fast unseeable low. If you want to learn how to deal with these pokes or what you should do with these pokes, check out my How to Small Tekken guide. Trying to evade pokes this close is very difficult because they are so fast. So sometimes it's a good idea to block the opponent's poke and then decide the best action afterwards. But at close range, mentally prepare yourself for pokes. Example number 2. If you are mid-range, you can expect your opponent to use ranged attacks. These are usually big moves that reach quite far, but the downside to most of them is that they take a while to recover. Which means if they whiff this big move, you can whiff punish. So you want to get comfortable with knowing what the max range of your character's mid-range move is. So at mid-range, you are standing in range of your big range move to hit your opponent, or else you are creating enough space to make your opponent whiff their big range move and then you whiff punish them. Example number 3. If you are long range, we call this a dead zone because no one can hit each other because there are no projectiles in Tekken 8. Don't look at that. But when at long range, your opponent is probably gonna run into you and press something. That's when you use a technique in neutral called keep out. Keep out is a technique that involves staying outside of your opponent's range and forcing them to come to you, then intercepting their approach. We will speak more about how to keep out in the future of this series. But how to beat keep out is by simply dash blocking. This is how you can destroy space safely and not run the risk of getting launched or counter hit and dying for trying to close the gap between you and your opponent. So now we know that at close range, we should be ready for poking. At mid-range, we should be ready to use big range moves or be ready to whiff punish big range moves. And finally, at long range, we should be dash blocking to safely destroy space between our opponents, or waiting for our opponent to become impatient and run into us and we keep them out.
Qu'est-ce qui me plaît dans le personnage de Victor Chevalier? D'abord le fait qu'il soit français, et le fait qu'il y ait un français dans un jeu aussi internationalement reconnu. Le personnage de Victor Chevalier, en fait, il a une caractéristique, c'est qu'il est très élégant. Et j'ai l'impression qu'il colporte à travers sa manière d'être et de s'habiller une certaine idée de l'élégance française. Donc forcément, ça m'a attiré.
How to space and play range.
Now that we know why to consider spacing and ranges, how exactly do we do it? Well,
This is where the fun begins.
first off, I would like to note that backdash in Tekken 8 is really good and can get you quite far. But if you really want to create space and get in perfect ranges quickly, you should learn how to do Korean backdashing, famously nicknamed KBD. I recommend that you watch FDX's Tekken 8's definitive Korean backdash guide on how to Korean backdash. It may be tough and impossible at first, but once you know how to do it, it will become second nature to you, I promise. Now, the second part is that every character in Tekken does well at different ranges and has different buttons to occupy space. For example, let's look at our favorite laggy character, Martial Law.
I hate rich people.
Law favors rushing down the opponent with his very safe pokes, being his jab, his fast mid, his safe launching mid, and his relatively safe unseeable low that tracks really well. So that means Law wants to play close range and keep destroying space consistently to apply his pressure. Law doesn't shine at mid-range because he doesn't have great whiff punishing buttons and good long range buttons too. He also doesn't shine in long range because he doesn't have great keep out moves or while running moves as well. On top of that, Law doesn't have a great backdash and Korean backdash because everyone in Tekken has different movement. So he doesn't want to create space too. Law favors being the aggressor and rushing you down and making it hard for you to create space or get into your preferred range. So you need to learn what range does my character like to play in and if they are good at creating space or destroying space. To help you figure that out, I recommend Tekken 8's Waifu Wiki, which tells you what your character's goal is in a match, and also tells you all the key moves and what strategies your character wants to apply. I will leave a link to the description to their website.
Conclusions.
So for spacing, we learned that if someone is being super aggressive, we should create space by using Tekken's movement, which is backdashing, Korean backdashing, sidestepping, and sidewalking. And if someone is being super patient like a turtle and playing great keep out, that's when we destroy space by using dash blocking to force them to whiff their keep out button, and then we whiff punish them. Or we just use dash blocking to approach the opponent safely. For ranges, we learned that there's close range, mid range, and long range. We learned that in close range, we poke the opponent, or we get ready to block pokes and decide what's the best way to retaliate. In mid range, we use our long range buttons to stop the opponent from getting close to us, or we wait for the opponent to use their long range button so we can whiff punish them. And in long range, we play keep out and let our opponent run towards us, and then we use our keep out button, or we run in by dash blocking safely. And that's how space and range works in the neutral of Tekken. That was episode 1 of Tekken 8's Neutral 101. In episode 2, we will discuss the 3 structures of neutral in Tekken, and in episode 3, we will discuss decision making and risk reward in Tekken 8's Neutral. So please leave a like and subscribe if today's episode has helped you out, and comment what you struggle in neutral, and I will try to respond to your comments and try and help you if I can. I hope your next rank session goes well, and let's get good at fighting games together, everyone. Peace out.